definitely do something better than like drip to taste it.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to do nice beans,
I got all these
might as
fancy
well.
beans, fresh roasted. Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah, that's the way to do it.
drip.
Do you want to do the thing? I'll mute myself.
Oh, we're already on, bro.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We tried this. Well, we'll get. Oh. All right.
It's like Owen's here in spirit.
Never mind.
Like it. I like it.
I thought we were gonna do the intro.
Oh yeah, our new fancy intro. Hold on, let's see. Right. What happened to it? Oh, there it is.
Coffee.
You got to do it in like a smooth soldier voice. Coffee. Brew. Delicious. Warm. Good. Get you going. Makes your day shorter because you just kick its ass.
And what could be better than coffee?
A carpet python.
I said it too soon. Too soon. Too soon.
Maybe there are carpet pythons in the beans.
The coffee. I don't know. Maybe. Perhaps. We'll never be as cool as Snakes and Stogies.
Oh, do they have some cool intro?
Yeah, they have like a guy rolling cigars and like all these venomous snakes all over the place. Man, that's a lot of beans, man. Come on, show me a carpet python.
Oh, I thought you were controlling it last time. It's not.
No. No.
Carpet.
What's better than a carpet python?
Coffee.
More
coffee.
Only 89 cents at Mick Cafe.
Oh my gosh.
There you go.
89-cent coffee is questionable.
Good morning, everybody.
Not much. Just trying to get through the day without having to rush like a mad dash, getting stuff done earlier rather than later.
Yeah.
Selling snakes again, you know.
Saw that.
Well, yeah, that's pretty good, man.
Pop wins are hot in the streets.
2 of 3 sold in what time is it? It's like 4 o'clock, less than 16 hours. So
nice.
Wow.
Very nice.
Yeah, people have been itching, man. I've been feeling it. I've been seeing the hype. I've been feeling like a lot of people have been talking about it. I feel like with COVID and all the time on the internet and the more discussions being had, I think it's much more accepted that the current status of being able to get some imports is, fickle at best, and we shouldn't take it for granted. So to me, that means, get what you can while you can, because it's not a for sure thing, right? Like, who knows what next year will hold? Maybe there will be no imports and you can't get stuff. So the affordable import new bloodline pop wins might not be available. I think, Eric, you've been talking pop wins for, a decade now, to the point where you've definitely altered the public perception and interest at the very least. So I think the days of pop wins being overlooked $100 snakes on a table, or the leftovers at somebody's price list or something, is long gone. I think they're now at the top of the list for me anyway. A lot of people.
Yeah, I think it's just it's old thing that I say all the time. You get excited about something, share that excitement with other people, and everybody's not gonna like it, but a lot of people will that maybe didn't know about it, or maybe didn't know. Maybe people that are into carpets don't even know that they exist. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. And I think as time goes on, the more, even as people are missing out on stuff, they're still getting interested in hearing about it. Which has sort of like a latent effect in generating and stimulating interest. I don't know what it is though, man. These F1s, little bastards.
They don't like you.
They're on fire, man.
Dude, they're so mean.
They look very angry in your video.
Yeah, they're. You ever like passed by a baby tub and you just hear thunk, 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 thunk,
Yes.
'cause, like babies are striking at the tub.
It's that one orange Woma.
All
time.
8 of them do this. All of them. They are all the devil. They all go like full, like cobra open mouth. Like, yeah, they're oh, Nipper. Who let Nipper in here?
Please. This is a children's program.
So I'm
I'm the child.
I really got screwed today.
Oh no.
Probably a lifetime, once in a lifetime opportunity to talk to Mr. Mark O'Shea. And I had this, so I knew my day was screwed up from the very start. 6 o'clock I get into the work and I don't have half the people that are supposed to be there. So I'm doing all these different things or whatever, trying to come up with a plan. And then probably I had plans on leaving about 2 o'clock because Nipper and Mark are 5 hours ahead of us. So to schedule a show is sometimes can be tricky, right? But I said, we got carpets and coffee at 7. If I can get there at 3, plenty of time. We'll talk to Mark for 3 hours. Give me an hour in between. It should be good. Yeah. And then the board, so we have our own internal board of health, I guess, if you will. And they come in and they go through the entire store and make sure you're doing everything up to food safety standards and all this stuff. And the audit usually takes about, I don't know, a good 6 hours. And yeah, it happened about 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock, somewhere in there. And I'm like, God damn it.
And is it purposefully a surprise? They won't tell you when they're coming. Oh
yeah,
my God.
they don't tell you. So
that's horrible.
Yeah, man. I'm like, I can't believe this. What
of
the hell
all
is going on
days.
today?
Yeah.
And the crazy thing, it was originally scheduled for Monday or Wednesday, so we would have did it Wednesday, but Nipper had to make it right. He couldn't do it Wednesday, so we moved it to Friday. And usually I'm like, it's fine. I have arranged for you to talk. See, this is why I love Nipper.
Very good.
My goodness.
Looking out for you.
See, he's always looking out for me.
What a
Cheers,
guy.
Nate.
That's
Anyway,
brutal. How were all your food safeties? Did you get a clean bill of health?
Oh, yeah, 100%. What kind of shop do you think I run, man? This is no joke, man. This is a fine establishment where you can buy your groceries without fail.
Attaboy.
No dead bodies or murderers running through.
Yeah,
with knives.
If you score above the standard, which is you have to get about a 97 to score above the standard, then if you do that, then I get a bonus. So I scored above the standard, so I got a bonus. So it's gonna be a nice snake cage or a nice Strophosaurus or Amii,
Indigo.
There you go.
Blackhead. I don't know. Who knows?
Damn, that must be a big bonus.
This is blackhead money, baby.
All right, now I am happy, and it was worth sacrificing your conversation.
Yes. So we'll see. But but here we are now. So it is what it is. Things happen for a reason. And see, Nipper hooked it up so that I can talk to him about poplin carpets, which we were just talking about. And by the way,
yes,
Nipper hatched out his first clutch of poplin carpets from wild caught animals, and he says they're fire than a firecracker.
Yep.
So something about
I don't know what it is.
It makes sense, right?
First generation, they're just psycho.
They're essentially wild.
What's crazy is the parents were wild, and they were not like that.
That is interesting. That's super interesting.
I don't understand it.
F1s are we were promised a jungle.
How dare you?
My parents lied.
Yeah. We don't have the same opportunity as the generation before us.
We have so many topics we could talk about. First of all, good morning, Australia. This is good morning time for Australia, Darren and all them. We should say that Scott Eiper and Ty Eiper, their book is in their hands, Lizards of Australia, which, I'm super excited as I look at my 2 lizards from Australia over there. But that should be a cool book. Can't wait to get that. And then There's the Woma morph. Steve Ray was talking about that thing that came up. And then Crow Fabulous is saying, have I seen the observation on iNaturalist that looks like a diamond inland intergrade? No, I have not.
Nor have I.
Maybe you can send me that picture and I can share it, or I don't know. Maybe I can look it up on. Go ahead, talk amongst yourselves, fellas. As I.
Hi, Riley.
Lucas, did you see the reduced pattern Woma?
Yeah, I did see that. That was Jordan, right? Jordan Parrott.
I believe so.
I think so. Sorry if I messed that up. But yeah, I did see that. That was pretty crazy. It sounds like he's got 2 or 3 generations of that whole thing, and it has proved out to be heritable. And
I think it's recessive, right?
That's what was said in the comments. Yeah, looking that way.
Crazy.
I mean, it's almost patternless for the first 70% of the body, and then just a little bit of speckling in the back.
It's like a race at the front, scrubbed off, and then it sort of comes back towards the tail.
It's one of those things for me that I'm glad it exists, because it has made me realize how much the banding is why I love Womas. I think it's cool, but now I know where my extreme is for too much reduced pattern for my own personal taste. I
would agree with you. I thought the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to see that mixed with that all black one now.
Well, I mean, yeah, melanistic would just be a whole other can of worms, right?
But like the melanistic one with the orange stripe mixed with that reduction, I wonder if it would accentuate the dorsal stripe more.
Yeah, it certainly could. Now that one picture that you're talking about, that with the super orange stripe, that's the one from Australia that didn't reproduce that gene, right? But then there is another one that somebody in the States hatched last year.
Correct.
Mike Schultz. Yeah. It's very interesting. There's definitely some weirdness popping out with the Womas, and that's cool. There's also that blackhead that maybe also Jordan posted. That's it has a normal black head, but then the rest of the body looks albino. It's orange or something. It's very reduced melanin on everywhere except the head, which is kind of crazy looking.
Yeah.
Looks hypo or something.
Ryan.
What did Ryan say?
Sounds like the next Cypress Creek. God damn it.
I don't know what that means. Am I
Cypress Creek
to know what that means?
No, Cypress Creek is one of those lines of diamonds where all the snobby diamond keepers turn their noses up because they can't prove that it's pure or not pure.
They're like, Shmeh.
Yeah. It just it's not held in the same regard as Gary Valle or San Diego Zoo or all these other things, but Eric's talked about it extensively. They probably all came in the same shipment from overseas anyway, so probably all the same stuff.
Which is why you keep seeing that reduced pattern pop out so much, that Stardust stuff.
Well, and that also explains why we have such a different population of diamonds in the States from everywhere else. Everyone thinks ours look different, and that's probably because it's one kind of overproduced gene pool.
Sure.
There it is.
Huh. So that's supposed to be a diamond inland intergrade?
I guess it's from the area, right? Let's see where it's from. Let's take a peek at the map here.
February 12th.
Observed December 25th.
Oh, good catch.
And then submitted February 12th.
I can't read.
Okay.
So it's down there.
Interesting.
That is a bit of a...
It's pretty.
Shoot. Yeah,
I like it.
Weird...
Here's another shot.
Okay. From that angle, it looks pretty inlandy to me. Can we blow that up?
That's crazy.
The back pattern has a lot more going on than.
See,
it's spotty, speckled.
Yeah, that's kind of weird, right? It's three sets of dots across the back, and this is sort of has that red. You can see where those
Right.
saddles for the tipping sort of. It always fascinates me with carpets how they're like as you breed them with certain ways, you can sort of make that pattern on the bottom half of it kind of disappear, and then you see how it has that stripe like right here, and then it sort of like squishes it all together into a stripe. See how this is starting to form a stripe,
Mhm.
and then it sort of makes it like that. But if you keep doing it, and to me, that's how you make striped carpets. Like as soon as you start to see these things, but for some reason, I don't know what you guys have experienced, but in all the breedings that I've done with striped carpets, regardless of it's always hard to get the tail to be striped, like a perfect stripe. I don't know what it is about that. Like what gene is missing that would require it to go full on stripe? Because it can happen. Some of those guys in Australia really have done some crazy shit with jungles, with those yellow and black solid bands. But I don't know, cool stuff.
Yeah,
it's sort of like
really interesting.
It's almost like the gelatin thing. It's more of this line here is solid, so it kind of looks like railroad track. Well, not that line. I'm sorry. These lines on the side sort of are striped, so it sort of gives this railroad track type of appearance that me and Rob have chatted about before. But
right,
very cool.
Well, it's interesting for me. My mind would not have gone to diamond. Would you guys have had that not been stated ahead of time?
Probably just if I just saw it, I probably would have to agree with you. I mean, it looks like something you would get from breeding a morph project and having that. What is my carpet python?
Yeah, some weird coastal jungle sib thing.
Right. That's cool though. The back, like you said, that back is definitely unique.
It does remind me of how in diamond pythons, the back rosettes are nice and neatly organized in a linear fashion. Just more of them in a different color.
Yeah. I don't know, man. That's pretty cool. The thing of it is like we see that picture, right? But I bet you if we saw that snake, well, I know if I saw that snake in the wild, I would be in love with that thing.
Yeah.
Right. But it's like when you see it in a picture, you're sort of like, nah. But seeing it in the wild, man, you'd lose your shit. Look who groomed.
What does that mean?
My beard is looking good.
Okay.
Mark was talking about catching wild Apodora. Oh, shit!
That would be freaking amazing, dude. That would be a rush.
Well, we have so many good things going on the MPR network at the moment, man, and that's one of the shows that'll be coming up. So that'll be in there, so you'll be able to get some Apodora fix, even if it's just a little bit. They just had the Reptile Fight Club with man. This one of the comments in the YouTube thing was like it's like Godzilla versus King Kong or something like that. It's like two giant. So you got Ryan McVeigh and Zach Loafman fighting over UV. Well, I don't know if I would call it fighting per se.
Oh shoot, I haven't listened to that yet.
I was listening to it earlier.
That's awesome.
And I haven't finished it. And to be perfectly honest, they're both team UVB, but for the sake of the fight, Dr. Loafman took the devil's advocate side of arguing against UVB, and the stance he mostly took, because you really can't discredit it, is just the technology. Is it where it's at? Is it safe? Why not just use supplementation because it's more safe and doesn't have these issues, and we can't measure all. It was really good. Like I'm not done with it. It's really well thought out, and you could tell that although Zach is very much team UVB, he's well versed in both sides of the argument and where people who are not pro UVB come from and why, and some of the concerns they have, and potentially them being somewhat valid at least. So it's a very healthy discussion.
I can't wait. I want to fight Zach. That'd be fun. Student versus teacher on something.
They sort of talked about you in a roundabout way.
They mentioned that they have this master's program and Justin's like, oh yeah, I'm actually on the committee for one of your students, and I guess you are. And
That's
hey, I know who they're talking about.
It's
So,
me.
Yeah.
It's all me. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm
Uh,
excited. I'll listen to that tomorrow. That'll be a good one.
Cool.
Yeah.
So that was a good one. What else? So, we had MPR the other day. We talked about which surprised me, right? And this is sort of like which will sort of segue into our talk about that video about Barczyk. Not that I like talking about him per se, but just the whole idea of that concept of that video. I think is sort of where the odds are in the hobby, right? Mm-hmm. But so Alan Stevens, right? Great guy. He does the Monitor podcast. I like him a lot. Whatever. And as we were chatting, he was sort of talking about how he doesn't use UV with his monitors, which just kind of like took me back. Like, wait, what?
Right.
And I guess that's the old school way of keeping monitors to where you're keeping them on constant heat, and so again, I mean, we really didn't fight per se, but sort of like push back a little bit. Like, I don't know. I guess really, right? It comes down to if you're going to breed or if you're going to keep, and I think I don't know the guy's name, but his channel is called Reptiles and Research. Seems like a real knowledgeable guy, but it was like an open letter to Brian Barczyk. And he basically said that he feels that, I guess in a roundabout way, that Brian's sort of like not trying to make any enemies, right? He's sort of like sitting on the fence and sort of like saying on one breath that you can keep in racks and ball pythons are found in holes. And then on the other side of it, he's sort of saying that, naturalistic is the way to go and blah, 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 blah. It kind of sends a mixed message. And, the shocking thing to me about that video, and I think he's 100% right, and I don't understand because of knowing like what Brian's thoughts are on as far as like if breeders are usually the ones that are giving him the hardest time, like, you're sensationalizing stuff. And, like us, like hardcore type of reptile keepers are usually the ones that are pushing back on him the most. Mm-hmm. And his argument is always, well, I'm not trying to capture that audience. My audience is the pet keeper. Mm-hmm. Then why not talk about keeping a snake the way that you would keep it as a pet? Like, I don't understand the enjoyment if you're going to get, even before like, the advancement of where the hobby's going. I don't understand what enjoyment you could possibly get out of keeping a snake in a rack if you had one snake.
Right.
I just don't understand that. Like,
that would be an interesting choice. Yeah.
Yeah. Like the only reason I moved to racks was because I was going to breed. Mm-hmm. And when you want to keep a large number of animals in a space to where you can breed efficiently, mm-hmm. you have to cut corners in certain ways. Now, people will argue back and forth on whether or not, that's right or wrong because you're not mm-hmm. doing what's best for the animal. Yeah. But at least be honest about it, right? And I don't understand why people can't just say, well, I'm a breeder.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. Right? It was kind of like, if you just leave the ethics decision out, or conversation, I should say, out of it, it becomes more of a conversation of, is your goal welfare or is your goal production? And mm-hmm. there, if we're not saying that a goal being production is right or wrong, if we're just focusing on those two things, why are you talking out of both sides of your mouth in the case of Brian and pissing off both sides instead of focusing on the side you're claiming that you're focusing on, which probably has more than 90% of the people anyway, are just pet keepers. Right.
That's what happens when you're in something for the wrong reasons.
And
I'm gonna go on record and say it, because if you listen to those videos, there's some clips in there where Brian talks about it. He cares about his YouTube channel. Brian's not a reptile guy anymore. Let's face it. He has worked with reptiles for 30 years. He's inspired the generation of reptile keepers coming out today. He has a reptile zoo. He runs a reptile breeding business. He's the biggest face in reptiles. He's not a reptile guy anymore. He's a YouTuber. He's a Jack Hanna of the private sector of reptiles. You know, when Jack Hanna comes onto all those shows, he doesn't know anything about the animals until they bring up to him a set of facts that he reads off of cards, gets a quick little rundown, and goes out in the show and spits facts for 30 seconds and looks like a pro. That's Brian Barczyk now. But that's because he loves that. And there's nothing wrong with that. But he needs to also come clean about that. He's just a face. He's not the guy anymore. He's a clown in a monkey suit nowadays. And the problem is, Lucas, like you said, he's talking out of both sides of his mouth. It's because he's lost the passion and he's a spineless shithead that's just trying to just kiss everyone's ass to keep making as much money as possible, because all he cares about is the numbers on the analytics of his vlog, selling whatever overpriced reptile product he's pitching these days, and just kissing ass to the biggest audience possible. Because if he doesn't, he loses money, he loses his job. He has to go back to being a mediocre reptile breeder, a mediocre reptile keeper who doesn't really know what he's doing or saying. He floundered when he decided to go into a reptile zoo and put animals in big cages and stuff. He had to learn everything from scratch, learn from other people, learn all this stuff. That's not an experienced, seasoned reptile keeper. That's a ball python breeder trying to go bigger. And kudos to him for trying to go bigger, but he really needs to acknowledge that what he did before was breeding. At BHB, it's breeding. What he does at the Reptarium is education, it's naturalistic, it's reptile. It's fun, but the two are not mutually exclusive. They're very, very different approaches. And when he gives speeches saying ball pythons do best in racks, well, that's a very absolute term. If ball pythons can only be kept in racks, well, that's a load of shit. I'll show you a 40-year-old ball python that lives in a fiberglass 4 foot by 3 foot by 3 foot enclosure that climbs trees with cataracts and liver disease and has no problems. I'll go down the street and show you that animal at the zoo. I promise you. There are always exceptions to the rules. And the other thing is, like you said, we need to think about who we're talking to. Brian is just thinking about not pissing off the next person. If you're putting yourself out there as an educator, say, yeah, I've bred ball pythons and I used to keep things in racks. Now I've realized that my area of interest and what's important to me is the overall welfare and displaying naturalistic stuff. And just because I've bred things in racks, or I still breed things in racks, doesn't mean that that's wrong, but it just means that there's two different ways and there's two different approaches. Ultimately, keeping things in racks is not ideal and it's not the best. It covers the basics, but you're getting an animal to survive, not necessarily thrive. And that's okay.
Right.
You just got to accept the fact that that's what you're doing and that's your approach and that's your goal. And if you're going to be spineless, flip-flopping, fence riding, no nothing, no passion, having fake in front of a camera, I'm sorry, people are going to hate you no matter what stance you take. So, either pick a side, grow a backbone, or find a different hobby.
I just real quick, I agree to an extent. I do just want to agree also with what Ryan said, which is like a really good in-between of the two camps is what Emily with Snake Discovery does. And I do agree with that personally. I think that as we've talked about on this show before, I think that a box is a box and it matters more what you do with that box in a lot of cases. I think that there are tiers to, what we can call a cage setup, what we call a rack setup. I can absolutely set up a shittier environment in a cage and a better one in a rack if we're talking about welfare. So just to throw that out there, I do think that there can be a middle ground. But other than that, I definitely
there's always a
agree
gray
with
area.
a lot of what you're saying.
Yeah, I think it's I've evolved over, if you look how I thought about things back when I started MPR to here, I've changed my thought, my views, and things that I would maybe I've done back then or thought was the right way to do it or whatever is pushed forward. And, I think I was talking to somebody, I'm not going to say their name because I don't know if they want it out there, but they were saying that, he said and it's somebody that I wholeheartedly look up to, amazing. Not, who it is, but amazing, knowledgeable person. And I think what he said to me was, he's like, the more and more I think of it, the more and more I think I'm going to slim down my collection and sort of make like, this naturalistic, amazing enclosure, think of like Mike Stefani's, like, Mertens monitors enclosures, stuff like that, like this, basically like, yes, you have this piece of Australia in your house and you're going to watch these animals forever and ever and ever. And, just get total enjoyment out of that. But the thing that he said that stuck out to me was, I think the reason I don't do it is because my ego gets in the way. Right. And it's like, wow, that was really like looking inside and saying like, wow, is that what keeps me from making this plunge and just doing this, is like this ego that I have to have either X amount of animals or this certain animal, or, it was a struggle for me just to get rid of Jags. You know what I mean? Like it was hard for me to do, as much as Jags bothered me personally. They don't bother me, for other people to keep them. You do what you want to do. But like for me personally, it was just like, and every year that would go by, it would just be like, what am I doing? Why do I have to do this when I really don't want to do this? And I think ego is probably the part. That's probably the thing, it's probably that whole thing that in order for me to feel important, I sort of have to have X or do X. And I somehow become not legitimate if I don't have X amount of animals, and then you see like all your friends and stuff, and they're adding in, different stuff to their collection, and they added this, like you guys have added stuff. And I really haven't added animals into my collection in quite a while, the monitors and stuff, but just like, even I'm thinking carpet python wise. And I don't know. I don't know, man. And I don't know. It's such a weird thing. And I guess this has nothing to do with the whole Brian Barczyk thing. But other than to say that, I guess it's like, I appreciate the fact that maybe he could change the way he thought, I can respect that. I just don't like the back and forth, or the mixed message, or the, and I get it, it's this thing, like you sort of fall into this. I guess that's the bad thing about doing YouTube or creating content. It's like, I just don't understand. Like he could, and to the point in that video, again, I'm sorry, I don't know his name, but he pointed out that 99% of pet keepers are looking for, like, look, I put UV in this cage, and look what the corn snake did, or the ball python did, and look, it perched up here, and you would never see that, or whatever. And like, and he could do that. Like he has the power to do that, and it doesn't have to be clickbaity, and it doesn't have to be all this stuff. But I don't know, man. I just don't. I guess I just don't understand why you do that. I guess it's just the way our culture is. It's just sensational. I guess I don't know.
When it pays, that's your answer. It's because he gets more money from more clicks. But I also did think that it was really interesting in that video. I don't keep up with Brian's vlog, so I hadn't seen this, but there was a clip of him basically like asking his audience why he's getting less views or something like that. Or like,
you're a boring piece of shit.
But that, that propped up the guy's whole argument, which is that because most of these people want to see X, and you keep sometimes appealing to X, but also then advocating Y, it's like, you got to choose. And you're choosing the less than 1% or whatever the guy said, versus the 99. So yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah. He's just trying to pander to whatever audience is boosting his number that day. That's it. Yeah. He's not a reptile guy. He's a YouTuber. That's it.
Yeah. Right. I think too, like the more and more, and I never understood this. Wait a minute. Let's see. I don't agree with Brian often. Let's put it up there, right? I don't agree with Brian often, but I just don't think promoting naturalistic vivs and saying there's a place for racks makes him a hypocrite.
It's not that he's a hypocrite. It's that he's just not being honest about both sides. He's not being completely honest. He's giving half truths about both at the time and place when it fits him. So
exactly the way that you just wrote that is how he could say it.
Yeah.
Promote naturalistic vivs and also say there is a place for racks. That's not what he's doing.
No, he's saying either or at whatever given time and flip-flopping.
So here would be an example, right? He's talking about setting up a ball python, right? And he goes to the argument that ball pythons live in holes and they never come out and they're always in the holes. And this is why they do good in racks and all this stuff, right? Okay, fair enough. But then he also has a video where he's talking about setting it up in a natural enclosure with, hotspot and, a light, basking light and hide and perching and all this stuff. I think it's how you say it, right? There's nothing wrong, in my opinion. Racks have their place, right? I think if you're going to breed and you're going to be a breeder and that's your approach, they have to come into play. They just do.
Even at least just for babies.
Yes, 100%, And I would even argue that maybe they're even easy. They may be even better for babies to get established and eating because they're sort of like, they want to hide. Think about, and I could be totally wrong, but this is just things that come to my head and why I would think it, right? If you're in this rack, especially if it's a dark rack, then, you could, it kind of gives it some cover or whatnot, as opposed to being in this big cage where it's out in the open and, there's no place really for it to hide.
Especially with some of those shyer species. I mean, you're just not going to succeed if you don't do it a certain way. And I mean, Riley, we got all those womas started at GX3. And I remember Grant saying to me that in the past, he has had trouble if the bins were clear.
Yeah.
But in these solid bins, all of them, for the most part, minus one or two ate the first time. Mm-hmm. And then the next two were, shortly after. That is because of that environment that they got established so quickly, and it's just to that point, And
I could be wrong to think this too, but, Darren talked about how he has his Antaresia in racks and stuff like that. But, first of all, Antaresia is a smaller python. So even if you have it in a 41 quart tub or something like that, there's still a lot of room for the Antaresia. So it's not like granted, it's not a 6 foot viv or whatever, but, I think Australia is sort of like in their infancy as far as the hobby becoming to the next level, right? So like, there's not a lot. First of all, there's not as many people in the Australia as there is in the U.S. And then there's not as many reptile keepers in Australia, not even close as what's in the U.S. or over in Europe, right? So if you're growing the hobby, you have less people breeding to fulfill that pet niche, right? And obviously they're going to have to figure out a way to do it. So how do you do it? How do you do it? And especially if you're breeding some, I would imagine that, I guess, Antaresia is kind of like maybe a go-to sort of pet over in Australia. It doesn't get as big as a carpet, but you still have the python thing, blah, blah, blah. So you could set it up in a big viv and stuff. And it could be something that you could keep in your house, as opposed to like if you had an impelli python or a scrub python, you're going to need like a huge enclosure if you want to do something like that. So, I don't know. I think that they're going to have to work with racks. I mean, that's just the reality of it. You can pretend that that's not the reality, but that's the reality.
Yep. 100%. That's how it goes. You have to have them. I mean, even just to be space efficient, you still have to stack cages on like a baker's rack, which guess what? Joke's on you. You're now using racks.
This is kind of a large rack.
I mean, a rack is literally just a different word for a stack of cages on something that rolls.
I mean, for me, like, again, the whole UVB discussion notwithstanding, because we do not have a way to provide that kind of lighting in a bin at the moment. For me, a box is a box. Yeah. It matters more what you do with the box to enrich said box. Right. If you care about welfare, this is what you're talking about. You're talking about enrichment. Right. If we're not having the UVB discussion, and you can do that in any box, depending on what you do in the box.
Yeah. If you want to get a different perspective of keeping and how you keep, and you really want to get deep with yourself, right? Go see that animal in the wild. Mm-hmm. Come back, look at that animal in the box, see if you feel the same way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, I don't know, man. It really changed me. I used to think that it was goofy that, like, what do you mean you stopped keeping snakes once you started field herping? Like, what? That's just silly. Why wouldn't you do that? But you see, like, a lot of, like, really hardcore field herpers sort of have moved away from keeping, and then they sort of just become field herpers and observing in the field and whatnot. But, like, I think, I don't want to speak for you two, but I think for people like us, we're sort of still fascinated by those little behaviors and things that you're not going to be able to see in the field because there's not enough time to see it. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to be able to come down at 6 o'clock in the morning with your cup of coffee and run into your snake room and see your snake doing whatever it is that it's doing, because you're just not going to be afforded that opportunity. Maybe you will once in a while, but I don't think you're going to get it every morning. You know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, even, just seeing California, Bay Area native species out in the field at work, makes me more excited to come see my animals that I have at home, even though they're not at all the same thing, it's an ocean away, but because it's just cool and I can still relate things, I can think, well, this California king snake that I just saw was doing X, Y, and Z, how would those same parameters maybe affect an Australian species? It just gets the gears turning, and regardless of where you are and what you're seeing, it's actual natural history, actual ecology. It's what it's meant to be.
Yeah. I don't. It's I don't know, man. It's a deep subject for sure, and but I really think that's sort of where the divide kind of falls, right? It's because you have people that, for lack of a better word, they sort of call it fence rider type of deal, where you don't want to piss off these people because they watch it, and you don't want to piss off these people because they watch it. Well, you can't make everybody happy, man. You're going to drive yourself crazy. It is what it is.
Accept it. Well, and he probably needs to hear that, Barcheck, because he's made plenty of videos about how he's got anxiety about what he does and the stress and everything. What would help his anxiety if he just picked a side, found some conviction in it, and learn how to say I don't know and be willing to keep changing and learning, and just put one foot in front of the other and go. That's all you got to do in life.
I think that's the most frustrating thing for me with the hobby is that I used to get so mad when Owen used to say this, man. It used to boil my blood when he would be like,
Owen makes you mad sometimes?
He would say, well, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I mean, listen back to like early 2012 episodes, and I used to say all the time, like, well, maybe we should like figure out this, or maybe we should do this to say, well, if it's not broke, why? If it's not broke, don't fix it. I'll be like, yeah, but that's so close-minded. Why do you think that way? Please elaborate.
Yeah, that might be my least favorite saying. Everything that's not broke can still be even less broke.
Yeah. Maybe we can relate to it, Lucas, because as a musician, right? When you get to a level, you're at that level, but now you're going to push to the next level. I mean, I don't understand why it's such a
like I got my thing. Squire and my line 6. It's not broke. Don't fix it. It's like, Gibson, nah.
Who needs that?
Yeah. But, no, I mean 100%. Like what is that just rejects the idea of knowledge and progress. So we can be done with that saying now.
Agreed.
Yeah, which he doesn't say it anymore, but
Yeah.
he used to
And
say it a
clearly,
lot.
you know, Owen is definitely an open-minded guy that learns. So,
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, he's taught me a lot. It's funny how we've sort of like went like this. You know, like he approached the hobby from this way, and I'm approaching the hobby from this way, and our ideas in the beginning were so different, and like eventually over time, like he's like, I think I feed my snakes too much, you know. Yeah, and I'm like, I think I feed my snakes too little. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, you're doing like combating carpet
Yeah,
pythons,
carpet pythons,
intertwined.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, 100%. Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
no, it's funny. That is funny.
Yeah.
But
Oh man,
so
Yeah.
what else is going on?
Well,
still waiting on Crebo eggs.
so
Yeah.
crazy.
107 days and counting.
Wow. Man.
So you have to be close, right? A week, maybe.
A week or two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And 4. I know you've already told me, but 4 that look good.
Yeah.
All right.
4 that look good, 9 that look brown, and not good.
Well,
Maybe.
I will admit to something.
Uh-oh. Deep thoughts with Lucas. Let's go.
Nothing deep at all. I paid the $100 to get on Black Pearl's waiting list.
Oh, nice. Good for you.
Cool.
That's the
I
only way
like
you. That's the only way you can get in line. That's the only way you can get in line. And to be frank, it might take you 2 years, but it's worth it.
I'm more than happy to wait because that'll get me time to get more big cages too.
Yeah. No, it's. I mean, how many other people are breeding them? Exactly.
Not many. You.
Yeah. I mean, I'm breeding a pair of blacktails, but that's
exactly.
it. You know? So,
no, yeah. To that scale, I don't know of anybody else like that.
Yeah.
Get out of town.
What happened?
Somebody.
Yes.
Somebody just
Oh.
bomb squad.
Hello.
Man.
There he is.
G'day.
What's up?
Scotty.
Getting there.
How's the book look, man? How's the book look?
We have books everywhere at the moment.
Yeah, I bet.
Ah.
I can't talk for too long because I should be bagging up books, but that's all right. So,
Take a breather.
how's it going, guys?
Good.
Good.
We're talking smack about the hobby being indecisive, and people need to just accept that it's okay, that there's a place for racks, and people just need to not be spineless and just do what they got to do and be themselves.
I think people need to admit that we're all infallible and we all make mistakes. Every
True.
single one of us make mistakes.
True.
And my wife just, I don't know if you heard Ty in the background, she's quite happy about that. Yeah, it's recorded for prosperity too, but that's all right. Rob Stein will bring it up at the Christmas episode every bloody year or something like that, but that's all right.
Yeah.
He already has it saved on his computer as of 2 seconds ago. Yeah.
100%.
He waits for every little mistake we make. Just it's like, oh, there you go.
I'm very
Check mark.
curious to see how many of the different shows he's tracking now that there's like 15 of them. Like,
Yeah, I know. He's got too much
If he
work.
was going to do that though, I think the first one he really needs to hit is your show, Riley, because at the end of every day you guys can't seem to pronounce colubra correctly.
Listen, man, we're having a hard time with the
like,
friendly.
Really? Colubrid? Like, Jesus. Anyway.
There are people near me that I've heard call it just colubrids, like just colubrids, and I'm like, where'd the U go?
Colubrid.
There's another vowel in there. I don't know.
Yeah, so
I'm openly and unashamedly a language killer. I'm American.
Yeah,
That's
so
what we do best.
But we did try and explain this to Owen about 2 Christmas shows ago, I think, didn't we, Eric? And it just never got there. It never seems to have sunken, but that's all right. You know,
Takes
I
about
used to
5 years. We got 3
What's that,
more
Mike?
Christmas. We got 3 more Christmas episodes to go, and Owen will have it down. So it's 5-year process. You know what I mean? You can't give up.
Are you saying it
Can't
takes?
give up.
Are you saying it takes 5 years for Owen to take on a concept?
Yes, 5 years, and then he will be solid, man. He will be solid. I promise you. He will be the biggest preacher of that concept. No worries.
I used to be such a normal, like, solid colubrid sayer, but now I keep hearing these two say colubrid, and now I keep landing somewhere in the middle, which nobody understands. It's like,
Hey, keep following what Zach said, what Zach Loafman says. All right.
Well, he says
at the end of the day, he's your
colubroid.
supervisor. Yeah. If he's your supervisor, follow what your supervisor says.
I do.
Fair play.
I want to be Loafman when I grow up, so I'm soaking it up.
You
like
want to be a
sponge.
Loafman when you're
Yeah.
mate. It looks like you've got a long time to go with that baby face of yours. I swear to God, mate, you look like a 10-year-old kid.
Do you actually
throw newspapers, as you're going down the street on your push bike?
Do you know how old I am?
Mate, you're the most intelligent 10-year-old going around, I think, but that's all right.
He was at Woodstock. I saw the man on the moon.
Yeah, all right. Thanks, honey. Ty's giving me shit in the background about how old I apparently look, but that's all right. I haven't really changed in the last 20 years, except for getting fatter. So
if I'm 10, you're a solid 28.
Solid 28. Yeah.
28. Okay.
If I'm 10.
Wow.
Wow. There we go. So you guys drinking coffee or what? Or is it too late in the afternoon for you guys?
Brettles and brews for me.
I have some coffee.
I've
already
switched over to the other poison.
Excellent. Well, I'm drinking coffee in my coffee mug that came from my wife. I don't know what she's trying to say to me there.
I think it's pretty clear, man.
Yeah. Could be nice, but that's all right. Character building. So, yeah, look, I suppose getting back I completely derailed the topic. So that's all right. You were talking about some stuff with regards to bar check and all the rest of it. I'll throw my 2 cents in. Bar checks. My biggest problem with bar check. Did you hear that in the background?
Yeah,
she said no.
She said no, don't do it.
I tell you, she keeps me honest.
Well, to preface it, Scott, we were talking about this video that this channel called Research in Reptiles put out, and this guy over in the UK put out a very well-spoken, eloquent video about why he thinks people are still upset at Barczyk, and his sort of evidence-based discussion was that he kind of talks out of both sides of his mouth, saying racks are perfect for ball pythons, but then he's doing the naturalistic thing, saying everybody needs to do naturalistic stuff, and so like he kind of just appeals to whatever audience is talking to him at that moment, and it seems that he kind of flip-flops on this one issue or several similar issues, depending on the time of day and who's talking about it. So he can't pick a side, and my impression was that he's no longer a reptile guy. He just cares about the analytics on his YouTube and just kissing as much ass as possible. He's no longer a reptile guy. He's just a personality on a camera now. And that's why he can't pick a side. It's because he's burnt out and he's lost his passion about it all. So, and now it's just a YouTube.
So probably another way you could phrase it is he's a politician.
Yeah. A really well seasoned one, it seems. He acts just like
in that if Barczyk's talking to a group of rack keepers, he's pro-rack. Mm-hmm. If he's talking to a group of people that are naturalistic, senso lato type terminology, whether it be it's a cage that looks like it's naturalistic or it's actually a naturalistic enclosure, he's championing those things. The issue that a lot of people have with Barczyk, it would seem, and I'll speak for myself here, is the fact that he's not honest about certain stuff.
Yes.
The stuff. The example of that was, he came on and he did this episode on one of the other podcasts and said that he was going to tell the truth on from now on and all the rest of it. And then he turned around and told everyone in the same breath that he was catching venomous snakes here in Australia as part of that venom hunters bullshit, which he didn't catch any of those venomous snakes. They were all being supplied by a keeper out at Ipswich. And it was all rubbish and all the rest of it. So the problem that people have there is they go, oh, well, they give him a second chance. And then he turns around and it's pretty apparent that he's not being honest. Don't get me wrong. Not everybody's perfect. No one's ever going to be perfect.
Sure.
But he could have easily turned around and said that, yeah, we staged for camera. That's what we did. That's what most documentaries, almost all documentaries, almost all photography you see in books, all the rest of it is staged. All right? Most people don't walk up to an animal and it's all automatically curled up, just sitting there beautifully, and it doesn't have a stick anywhere, and it's always having to be sitting on the top of a rocky ridge, and there's a sunset in the background and all the rest of it.
Right.
No, the animal's been put there. And the person's photographed it that way and all the rest of it. They've made it look what looks nice for them and for the picture that they're trying to take. It's a piece of art.
Right.
So there is sort of some people understand that this is what it is. And then you look at an in situ photo and it's, you know, a lot of people get a lot more excited about those in situ photos, those truly in situ, because you're getting to see a snapshot of the ecology of that particular species, which is fantastic. It doesn't mean to say that you can have that photo might not look as nice as a posed one.
Sure.
But as long as you're honest that photo's posed, no one seems to give a shit too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think of every time Eric goes out herping and they go out and find timbers, and the photographs they share of like the timber it's under the rock, they haven't pulled it out. You can just see a little piece of it. And what you're looking at in the photo has more of the surrounding environment and details about what that snake experiences. And then you just have a little sliver of a snake. And that's the beauty to me.
In that case, though, it's also because Eric and Owen are scared of venomous snakes.
Eric, you're muted.
You're muted.
Eric, you muted yourself.
I'm not afraid to admit it. Yeah.
Well, and Owen would be the first to tell you he's afraid to keep himself safe. He knows he'll be a dead man.
Well, that's why I sent him the monkey backpack. I mean,
yeah. Well, that doesn't work with venomous snakes.
There's no shame in you know, admitting that you're not going to mess with the venomous snake because you don't trust your abilities or whatever. Like, I respect that more than the people that go hold my beer, get your phone, film this, and like rip a rock apart and do whatever.
Oh crap! Where'd my cobra go?
I got bit on the arm by a taipan. Let's stop and take some photos. Can you get a photo of me in my hospital bed, please? I need to post this on Instagram before I lose consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite part of the West Texas trip was being able to be side by side with Phil, and like Phil talking to me about the proper way. Like, here's a just in how you pick up a venomous snake with the hook, as opposed to how I pick up a snake in my snake room with a hook. You know, totally different, and I would be dead. You know, so I want to learn, but I'm also not. I'm not trying to be somebody that I'm not. You know, I'm okay with observing that snake go, you know, try to pick it up, but
100%.
Yeah.
But that was the coolest part, because I never realized, and Scott, you probably know this better than any of us, is that and I hear you guys talk about it on Snakes and Stogies all the time, such a technique to it, you know, and I'm thinking like, what's the technique, man? You just scoop the snake up with the stick. Well,
there is a technique, and the reason there's a technique is that you really don't want them falling off the hook, because if they fall off the hook, now you've got an upset snake at your feet.
Right.
or even worse, in your hands that slid down the hook.
Oh, look, they'll come off the hook when you're hook and tailing. They come off the hook all the time. So, you know, you've got to be able to sort of manage the way that they're moving on the hook, and then be able to sort of turn their body and turn the musculature in the body and sort of know how to take them off balance so you can do it relatively safely. At the same time, though, a lot of the times, I mean, you guys all work with colubrids as well. And, you know, you imagine the most runny colubrid that you've got, try to pick that up with a hook. If you're always picking them up with a hook, you start to get pretty reasonable at picking things up with a hook when you can't put your hand in there to do it. You know, it's just not an option, I suppose. And the other side of it too is that you guys would use your hands to pick snakes up. I don't use my hands to pick up snakes anymore. It doesn't matter whether it's a carpet python or a green tree snake or a common tree snake. I pick them up with a hook. I pick everything up with a hook. It's a lot easier. So,
yeah. I would say when I'm cleaning snakes, pretty much 100% of the time I'm using a hook. But just with his technique and like, I don't know, I maybe it's just Phil's awesome voice and he's just soothing me into a sense of security about holding a black-tailed rattlesnake. I don't know, but it was cool.
There's definitely something to be said too for practice and muscle memory gets you used to it. I mean, I remember when I was first learning to handle Venomous properly with 2 hooks and safely do it, it was the most awkward thing. Like I actually had to watch the way I was moving my hands and what I was doing. And after a few years, it just becomes sort of second nature, and the hooks are sort of extensions of your hands, and you sort of kind of get this feel to how to just twist and turn things. And I wouldn't say I have the most experience or the most diverse species list to my name of what I've worked with, but yeah, there's definitely some training wheels that come with it.
It's probably very species specific too, right? In terms of how well they'll take to those tools.
Yeah.
Hooking a death adder and a taipan is completely different. But
right.
At the same time, there's a couple of tricks that you can use. One of the things that I find is actually really simple is where your thumb is placed on the hook. If you take a little bit of care initially and go, right, I'm always going to put my thumb at 2 o'clock on the shaft of the hook, so I know that where my hand is at, when my thumb is at 2 o'clock, is you know where your thumb is sitting. You don't need to look at where your thumb is. You can then work that out as to where the loop of the hook is, or where the cradle of the hook is, and you don't need to be looking at where your hand's placed or anything like that. You know exactly where the end of your hook is. So when you're trying to hook in behind a rock or in behind a hide box or underneath paper, you don't need to be looking at the end of the hook to know where the hook orientation is. So it's little things like that that actually make a huge difference to venomous keeping that means nothing in regards to working with something that doesn't hurt you if it bites.
Right.
Comparatively speaking. So,
Justin's in the chat talking about a specific grip on the Venom Life hooks that seems like it's exactly what you're saying. It has some contour that with some muscle memory and hand memory, just by knowing how the contours are on the hooks, you know exactly the angle your hook is based on where you're moving it with the grip.
Yeah, I think the Venom Life hooks have got a flat top that is parallel to the saddle, the cradle of the hook. So you always know that if the flat point is pointing up, then you know that the cradle of the hook is pushing up as well. So it's certainly not a bad idea. Different people do things in a slightly different way, and it's that's the tiny difference between sort of working with Venomous for a really long time versus just coming into it fairly recently, I suppose. But look, the other thing is too to remember when working with venomous snakes is most of the time they don't want to bite you anyway. So, you've got to be doing some pretty silly things to get a bite in the first place. So, as well as, you look at how many people out there that don't get bitten playing with venomous snakes, and you see the crazy things that they do. You've only got to look at Snake ID places to see just how many very lucky people there are out there when they open up the cardboard box and you look into it and you see what's in there. So,
yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, that's a great point.
I'd like to keep a perfect record attached to my name for as long as I can or live.
Yeah. Ditto.
Yeah. So anyway, all right. Well, look, I better get back to it because I'm going to get in shit with them if I don't.
Those books aren't going to get over here without you packing them, so we can't.
No, they're not.
No.
So that's the book.
So
writing on the bag. It's obviously not Scott.
Oh man, I can't wait for that book.
So
See,
Scott,
you know what you need to
Yeah.
do? You guys need to be pushing Ty to come on one of your episodes because she's
Yeah,
always
man.
she's talking a big game, but she's hiding at the other end of the house. Just
What is this working?
She's the smart hurt keeper who gets her little shots in and then leaves. Just pew pew.
oh,
drive-bys.
100%,
Yeah.
100%.
You're the shield. You take all the volleys of abuse and harassment from everybody who disagrees with your opinions, and she just sits in the back and just snipes little arrows out. Shoot.
Oh, no, she gets his weirdo.
So
Before you leave,
question.
yeah,
Yeah.
where can our audience get your book?
If you want signed copies through our website www.wildlifedemonstrations.com.
I
And
will say though, guys, if you did want to order,
come here then. If you get no, come on.
Hello.
Hi.
if you did want to order, get a group together because it'll be cheaper on postage as opposed
Yes.
to one order per person.
Yes.
Sorry,
Yeah.
we can't do anything about that. It's a
Yeah.
killer.
No, that's how it
Yeah.
goes.
Yeah, no.
That's shipping.
The postage sucks ass sending stuff across, but yeah, seriously, if you want to get a group of yous together, happy to do a group thing, but just shoot us an email first so we can make it work.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Awesome. I can't wait to get my hands on that.
Yeah.
Me neither.
100%.
I ordered
And
mine
we've
a
still
long
got some
time
copies
ago.
of the. We've still got copies of the Snake and Frog book as well. So you know, if you're going to buy one and get hit on the postage, you might as well buy the others.
Oh, I need the frog
The
book.
trilogy.
I don't have the frog book.
It's good, man.
Well,
It's good.
that's actually my 6th now, Lucas. I've done 6 books.
Dang.
Oh, yeah. No, I just meant if you get them all 3 in the box.
Yeah, 100%. And that's, you know, at 280 species, 245 and 239, I think it is. It's a fair whack of Australia's herpetofauna in one place.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yikes. That's badass.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Renovating.
Yeah, we're renovating at the moment. That's why the roof looks like shit too. So, but that's all right. Yeah.
Justin
Just because I
wants to
didn't have
know-
enough to do, I thought we'd renovate the house too. Why not?
Hey, keep busy, right? Justin wants to know when we're getting the Angry Old Aussie handbook.
See, Justin needs to start doing more shows at this time of the day because most of the time he's asleep when he's doing his own podcast.
Damn.
Mic drop.
Boom.
Ouch.
Oh, that's good. That's too freaking good. Oh man.
Yeah, that's all right. We've got to have a little bit of fun.
Oh,
In all seriousness, though, I mean, he must do some crazy hours because
yeah.
he's there, and then suddenly he's just like, yeah, I'm all banged out. It's like he hasn't had enough bangs that night, and that's it. He's just done.
Dude, I can't handle that much energy drinks and those late nights and early mornings and work and kids and everything. I would not be able to hang. So yeah.
Man, you guys are like half my age. Come on, man. Getting up at 4, going to bed at 11 o'clock at night or herping all
Oh,
night
heck
long.
no,
Come
dude.
on.
Yeah,
I go to
but
bed
you-
at 7:30
but-
when I have the 4 a.m. wake up.
Hang on, guys. You've also got to remember that Justin has to herp 24/7. All right, he's always urban herping at his place. He's always got to work at say
He's got a list of he's got the perpetual list of lost in the house to find.
Oh, he's coming
Mate,
strong tonight.
Hey, look, at the end of the day, right, Justin's found more animals in his house than Lucas has found in the field.
Brutal.
Tyson with the
Well,
knock.
I'm being a little
I
savage.
realise Lucas can say whatever he wants and he could outrun you.
Oh my god. This is
I got you,
tricky as
Luke.
all hell.
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah, you want to
who
make
brought-
sure, Lucas, that if you're going to try this, you're not doing it on a hill, because I'll just lay the fuck down and I'll roll down after. It'll be like a scene from fucking Indiana Jones.
Yeah, are you near the rock? That's so good.
This show is officially going to shit.
No, I love it. This is exactly where we want it.
What do you got in that coffee cup,
I
man?
told you it turned into clusterfuck when you came on.
You got that magical coffee chocolate milk drink in that coffee cup, don't you? That one that we love so much.
Oh, ice break. No. This is good. This is just it's just a regular morning coffee. So
okay.
Yeah, it's good fun, mate. It's good fun. I'm going a little bit crazy because of COVID over here. We've had, it's crazy, right? So you guys have COVID over there and it's just everywhere. We have 4 cases or 5 cases over here. They lock everything down.
Jeez.
Can't do anything.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Anyway.
crazy.
Yeah, we just let people die. No biggie.
That is what it is.
We got too many to keep track of around here. We're like, who? What?
Yeah.
We follow nature, survival of the fittest. It is what it is.
Somehow.
You make it, you're good.
Laugh through the pain. Laugh through the pain.
Don't worry, he's going to go on Snakes and Stogies on Monday, and then he's going to bust all of our stones. Yeah, it'll be back.
Hey, I didn't bust Phil's stones. I haven't been nasty to Phil today.
How could
the
you?
day is young.
Yeah.
It's always at the same thing. No, Phil's all right. He's okay. He's
Glitter Phil.
Glitter Phil. Yeah, ask him about the glitter when you talk to him next.
Oh no! Did you guys glitter his air conditioning on a herp or something?
No, I don't think so.
I'm going to leave it for him to explain to you guys. So at some point in time, just ask Phil about the glitter.
Glitter Phil.
Boy. Oh, so how's the herping in Southern Cali at the moment? Have you been going out chasing red diamondbacks and Southern Pacific rattlesnakes?
I have not gotten out at all this year. I have not gotten anywhere. The other day I was like, man, it's perfect snake hunting weather. It was like sundown, kind of like 7:38, and it was like 80 degrees. And I knew that if I'd have hit up Allen and found gone out to the roads out there where we went, we'd have definitely found some stuff.
Hey, so I've got a legitimate question for a change. Why don't you guys keep outside in California?
Oh, that's actually a good question. I personally just don't have a backyard to.
Yeah, I'm in an apartment.
That being said, at the shop, we've got 5 outdoor enclosures with Russian tortoises, Herman's tortoises, a big group of red tegus, some blue tegus, and some Argentine black and whites that live outside.
How cold does it get down there?
It can dip below freeze. It can dip below freezing. There's like 2 or 3 weeks in, I'd say, middle of January, late January, where at night it does get below 32.
And like where I'm at, closer to the bay, it never really gets much below 40. Rarely.
Now, if I had an
how hot does it get
outside, I would run just heat mats for the heated dens at night for the winter. But where I'm at right now, we had a 116 last week.
No, it was disgusting. It was horrible.
Mate, you could keep parentes, lace monitors, carpets, brettles, all that outside all year round.
I think about that a lot. How it's would be perfect for brettles.
Brettles. I think most of the Morelia, honestly. I mean, all you have to do is have an insulated box for nighttime, and I think they'd do just fine.
Yeah.
Scott had me at parentes.
Rusty Spork, kill Owen for parenti.
Hey, so you guys know how we do those? We do the magnets in the first 100 books that come out.
Yep.
I think you guys might know about that. Did you want to see what the magnet is?
Yeah.
For this one, so this is the first time it's ever been seen. Yeah, I said that.
Ah, yes.
The Thorny Devil.
Yes.
So
nice.
That Thorny is a pick from Hal Cogger because all I can find are splattered ones on the road.
Oh.
Oh no.
Jeez. That's brutal.
Yeah.
I hear that a lot. Like everybody that I hear that talks about herping for them finds them all over the road, but rarely finds a live one. That sucks.
I'm up to 17 dead ones.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it sucks ass.
That's horrible.
So, but that's all right. Look, it is what it is. But
Just got to keep going out, man. That's all.
Yeah,
Also,
mate,
there you go.
It's only 12 hours drive to get to their habitat from where I am.
Come on, stop your whining, man. Just get in the car and go.
12 and a half hours drive versus 36-hour flight.
Thanks, fellas.
You know what? It's not a bad idea. It
There you go,
beats lighting
Alan.
bullets.
Alan says his Brettles are going to go in the yard. He's up near Riley.
I'm
Yeah.
sure his
Mate,
neighbors.
honestly, I'd be 100%. You should be keeping more stuff outside. It's so much
Yeah.
better for the animals too.
Oh, as
100%.
soon as I can, I plan on it.
Yeah.
Well, that whole
And like
UV
even
debate
you,
goes
Eric,
right
you
out
should
the
be keeping
window,
your
right?
diamonds 6 months of the
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
Keep your diamonds 6
Exactly.
months of the year outside in a rolling cage.
Yeah. Yeah. I would.
You know,
love
like
to
there's
have
no
that.
reason why you couldn't have like a bird aviary, I suppose, on wheels. That
Mhm.
you keep them inside that's got basking lights and stuff like that. And then when it gets to, right, the temperature's not going to drop below 45 at night and the temperatures aren't going to be higher than X, roll the thing outside. Put it out there. Put them outside. You'll see a huge difference in your diamonds.
I would love to be able to do that. Love.
Yeah, why do you have a pool, Eric? Fill that thing up with concrete and put diamond cages on top of it.
It's funny. About, what was it, like a month ago, me and Scott were talking on the phone and he was telling me about this. And, I'm sitting there and my wheels start turning or whatever. So my wife is out there and she's, looking at the yard. Oh, I'd like to do this. I'd like to do that. And I was like, what about I use this area for like a cage for, a couple snakes to put out here? She's like, what? Now you're taking over the outside too? I was like,
So what you do, right, is
Okay.
you do 3 garden beds, right? But make the
Right.
garden bed big enough that you can just roll the cages in between the plants, right?
See?
So you set it up. Oh, here's this really nice garden bed. Why is it like a weird E shape? Oh, that's okay. It'll be fine. So then what you do is actually, I want to make the cage to fit in between the garden beds. That way it doesn't jut out too far. And that way
Right.
the edges of the cages just sort of mold into the garden that's around it as well. Now, if you use Australian native plants, it could be like your little piece of Australia when you're not there.
I'm working on it, man. I'm working on it. I got a whole room full of Australian plants that I'm trying to learn how to take care of. Pretty cool. That's a whole nother hobby in itself.
We picked up that Australian Habitats book for $8 at the book fair the other day.
Son of a bitch.
We're pretty happy with it. I've been keeping an eye out for it. It's not a bad looking book. So
yeah, it's pretty good. I like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can dream.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can walk outside.
Yeah, I know. I would drive 35 hours to get to somewhere in Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, but look, I don't think that'll be happening. I don't know if it'll even be happening in 2022 these days.
I'm banking on 2023. So if it happens in 2022, it's a bonus. But I don't know if I can make it to 2024, man. I might be fucking dead.
No, you better not, dude.
How was bloody speaking of herb trips? How was Maddie and Jake's bloody trip and Christy Jensen's trip up the Cape?
Oh, jeez.
Fucking hell, 15 green passes in 4 days.
Nuts. Unbelievable.
That was insane.
And
they got Keith and they got Judith Tacadactylus, and they got they basically got everything that you want to get up there bar Dorianus. I don't think they got Dorianus, and Matty was trying to get an Emoya and he didn't get an Emoya. So
15 freaking green pythons, and they're all like the epitome of the perfect green with the white.
Oh my god,
stripe.
It's crazy.
Me and Rob kept watching that video over and over. It played on like a loop 1 and 2 when he was here last week. We just kept watching it all week. We're like, Wouldn't it be cool to be there right now? Look, another green python. Look, another green python. Like,
Those are the only chondros I would ever consider keeping. Period.
Yeah.
If I could get true blue, no lie, no nonsense, Aussie green pythons, I would invite Morelia viridis back into my life.
they're the best looking of the green pythons, man. It's a green snake, yellow belly, white stripe.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I've got to get up and see him in the scrub. I haven't seen him in the bush. I haven't been to Iron Range yet, so
No?
that's
wow.
that's on the cards for me.
Hmm.
So,
Well, it sounds like we all need to go.
Yeah.
So
I'll go
there's
anywhere.
a
I
few
haven't
things
been
out
on
there.
the continent yet.
It's funny, right? Like you talk about blackheads and womas, and I found blackheads and womas within a kilometre of each other
Right.
on the road. And
Really?
What area was
Awesome
that,
looking
if you don't mind me asking?
I won't give you the GPS location on
No,
air,
but yeah.
between Augathella and Bacaldan. So it's in it's about 600 kilometres from the coast of southern Queensland.
Okay. That's awesome.
So,
That's super cool.
Brigalow stuff. So the same population of animals, the same population group, I suppose, of animals that are the stuff that Melissa Brinton works on. So she's
Right.
down at St George at the property down there. Augathella is about 250 kilometres north of that. So
She's wonderful. I got to talk to her for the first time a couple weeks back, and it was awesome picking her brain. She seems like a really cool person.
yeah, well, let's say you probably get blackheads where she is as well. At St George, where those womas are, they probably get blackheads there too. Well, they certainly wouldn't be far from it if they're not there.
Yeah. Oh man, I freaking love them. I can't get enough of the Aspidines.
I'd love to see an updated phylogeny on them because I suspect there's probably a little bit of speciation going on there.
Yeah.
So, not that we want to validate names, but I wouldn't surprise me if there was a couple of things there that were sitting there that hadn't been necessarily named yet. So,
For sure. Do you think so for both womas and blackheads, or one more so than the other?
I think it's just clonal variation in black-headed pythons. It's a
Okay.
continuous distribution all the way across. Whereas in womas, you do actually have some sort of population. So
Sure. Some more disjunct little.
yeah,
areas.
there is some things going on there, I think. But I don't know. They could be just a very wide-ranging taxon, and there's gene flow between those populations, and therefore they're probably not different species or subspecies. So,
well, if they are, can we name one of them Aspidites, Ramsey eye, Riley eye?
No.
Just people off.
All of the populations have names. All of the populations have names. But it's whether those names are. I mean, those names are all currently in synonymy because it hasn't been demonstrated reliably that they shouldn't be anything more than what they are at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Well, and didn't Hoser do a bunch of stuff with that too?
You said the name twice.
Is that a rule? Oh no!
Can't say it again.
Did I break a rule?
Yeah, you say it 3 times and he shows up all of a sudden.
Ah, crap! I'm sorry. I'll see myself out. Goodbye, everybody. No, just
How dare you?
Yeah, Lucas Lee's about getting in trouble from his supervisor, I think, but that's all right.
This is when we pull the Owen plug. We just do the whoop.
All right, guys, I really have to go. As much as this is a lot of fun and I'd love to keep going, I've got a shitload of stuff to do, and
right on.
yeah. But please, guys, get out there, support us authors, and buy the book if you don't mind. And if not, 100%. Feel free to hit us up and ask us a whole heap of questions.
Absolutely. Thank you, Scott. It's good to talk to you, man.
Joining us today.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
See ya.
I'm so abused.
The great Scott Eiper. I forgot.
I
they
usually
already
don't
had-
try to pull the trump card, but can you even say that anymore? I don't know. Is that the right word to
The
use
Trump card?
anymore?
Well,
Well, that was the term before he was
I
president.
might get canceled.
yeah,
Well,
you
that was
might.
the term before he was president. It just really fit that the biggest asshole the country could put in that chair had the same last name. So,
Yeah, good point. Fair
Well
play.
said. But yeah.
Yeah, we're off the rails tonight. Woohoo!
Just I'll never say that name again. It got me kicked off the stream, and that
just
I-
know,
it's like touching the hot pan. I get it.
yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
You have
It's
to
hot.
learn the hard
Ow.
way.
So did you guys
Uh-oh.
listen to the Blacklist episode of
Yes.
Fight Club? What were your
Yes.
impressions on that one about the discussion of should we blacklist people or should there be forgiveness? Now, before I do want to hear what you guys' thoughts were. I did feel like there was just more of a free-flowing discussion and it wasn't too much of a battle in that one per se, because I think there was too much moral ground at stake that everybody just kind of stuck it right where they felt the arrow needed to go. And it was a great discussion. But I've been meaning to hear both of your guys's opinions and inputs on it, because quite frankly, I consider both of you two much more well thought out, level headed individuals, kind of like cooler heads, calmer heads prevail sort of thing. No, I'll be the first to admit it. I get fired up. I'm a bit of a hothead, and I'll go from zero to pedal to the metal real quick. But that doesn't mean
it's like a fine wine. You sort of mellow with age. I don't know what Lucas's thing is, but like,
I
I
was
was a hothead
constantly
when I was
filled with
younger too.
rage.
He was just cork. So
I have
we still
so
got
much
time.
rage inside me that I put on this very friendly, calm mask
Yeah,
That's
he's
even scarier.
to
man.
keep the world from burning.
freaking
Sorry, Riley. Go ahead.
bait smoke
Yeah.
killer over here.
I cut you off.
I just wanted to know what your guys' thoughts were, because I do think there's value in trying to give people second chances if they are genuine and if they did make a mistake. And I do think ultimately we want growth and perpetual acceptance and community growth in the hobby. I don't think anybody's denying that. But I don't think I could sit here and tell you without disbelieving my own words that there are people who are just genuinely malicious and out to start a fire and piss on it just to piss people off and do things of lower moral character and ethics to just be that guy and scam people. So on the other hand, I can see why we have this discussion of should we blacklist people. So I wanted to know what your guys' thoughts were, because ultimately I think I respect your opinions a lot.
Good,
Eric.
Lucas. Good.
Oh, okay. We're so polite. Yeah.
Yeah, we could never be on Fight Club without multiple.
Well, I was gonna say like that might be my favorite episode. I really loved that one, and like the side banter on climate change was great, and yeah, it was a really good episode. I mean, I'm definitely I think the answer to this question is more it's more a reflection of you than anything else, personally. And for me, I think that I am more of a forgiving person to a point. And then if you use up all of your chances with me and you don't put in an effort to learn, then I feel that I am the opposite, and I probably will never speak to you again. So it's kind of that whole thing where like I give a very, very long leash, and then if that doesn't work, it's done. So for me personally, I think that we should always start by trying to, lead with compassion and empathy and educate a person on why we're upset with them. Right. You should, I respectfully, the shouting matches that never hits. Yes. I'm Jack Bauer. We don't negotiate with terrorists.
Hit him with the bazooka.
It just leading out guns blazing that just inflames. Both sides are just going to be more apart, right? So go in respectfully, explain with a level head your issue, and then either that person is going to hear you and also respond with, maybe making some concessions, maybe saying, I hear you, I disagree, maybe saying, I hear you, but you're right, and I will change, whatever it is. Like, you got to go into it that way, and then, see what happens, reevaluate, if it becomes something that's a recurring problem, if you have to do that over and over and over again, then, well, yeah, maybe you start to say, this isn't worth my trouble anymore. Right. But I'm getting a little bit more philosophical, but in terms of like an actual list, like a literal list that exists somewhere with names, I don't think that that's the best way to go about anything. But I think that we can all, as a group, as one reptile community consciousness that talks to each other, kind of maybe agree that a few folks just aren't really worth our attention and effort and time anymore. I do agree with that. And I think that some of the worst apples in the bunch, the best way to move on from them is to just pretend like they're not there.
Challenges with billions of people on the planet and millions of reptile keepers. There's always going to be some people that either don't have that experience, don't share that opinion, or just live under a rock and don't know what's going on. So,
yeah, that's my initial thought. But Eric, please.
This is always a tough subject because, to Robert's point, who decides who's good and who's bad, right? I think the thing that I always have a problem with so first of all, it depends on what the mistake is, right? I think we all make mistakes. We all make bad calls, judgment calls. We've all done it. We've all thought that we're doing the right thing, or maybe I think of Owen, right? And I think of how Owen used to get this. Yeah, no, I was right. I was good.
Sorry.
But Owen would always get this bad rap, and but look at it from Owen's perspective for a second, right? Owen is not the guy that's necessarily dealing with booking the guest, so he's not having that face-to-face. He's not the one that's answering emails, so he's not that face-to-face. So there's no, from his perspective, right, he's never interacting with people. I mean, he is, don't get me wrong, people are contacting Owen. I'm not saying they just are contacting me per se. But then when we're at a reptile show and somebody walks up and they start talking to me and they don't talk to Owen, it's a bit disrespectful, right? So now Owen gets this rap where he's sort of like rubbed as this guy that's like, like he doesn't want to talk to people or whatever, which, he's got to, let's face it. I mean, he has a little bit of this persona where he sort of plays like the jokester, he's kind of the that guy. That's sort of his persona or whatever. And I think that it's not fair to judge him based off of it, because if you were in his shoes, wouldn't you feel some type of way? It's like, hey, I'm doing the podcast too. Like, why are you just talking to him and you're not talking to me?
Yeah.
So I can understand where somebody might say something or whatever. And like, shit, man, I've said things that I regret saying and wish I didn't say or whatever, but it wasn't because it was just because I was taught. Sometimes, you guys know, is when we talk on here, sometimes we're talking and, we say things and not taken the right way or whatever. So I think a bit of perspective with everything is sort of important, right? Like, try to put yourself in that other person's shoes and see what happened. I think where the hobby needs to step up a little more is, when we all talk about a certain person, but yet we all continue to support that person with our dollar. To me, that's just stupid, right? You stop supporting that person and they'll go away. if your MO, usually that person is somebody that's selling snakes and they do some kind of scam. I guess like to me, that's what would get you blacklisted. What else would really get you blacklisted per se? In the reptile hobby, right? You treat animals bad,
Abuse, killing your animals,
abuse, right? To
There's
me,
obvious lines,
right? You know what I'm
For
saying?
sure.
So to me, that's the blacklist. You know,
there's certainly tiers.
but that's my blacklist,
Right.
and my blacklist may be different than your blacklist and your blacklist. But maybe there's certain people that intersect on both of those blacklists that,
Right.
you know, I won't even give them, I won't even say their name because I won't give them the platform, because today our culture is based off of, as soon as I say the name, you're going to go and see why I'm upset. So now all of a sudden you went and watched their YouTube videos or whatever it would be. You know what I mean? You know, so I try not to get, to me, rather than focus on that negative way, I try to steer it towards more of a positive way. So, you know, if I don't like what Prehistoric Pets is doing on their YouTube videos, I'm going to go and say, okay, rather than smash them, I'm going to go and promote Matt Somerville's YouTube videos.
Mhm.
I'm going to promote a podcast that I like, or I'm going to promote somebody in the house that had a positive interaction with, or they sold me a solid animal, or they did something that was above and beyond. But I think like this idea that, because here's an example of what I'm guilty of, right? I work probably 60 hours a week. I probably am editing podcasts for another 20 hours a week. That's not a lot of hours left in the week for me to do, you know, spend time with my wife, do stuff at my house, you know, take care of my collection, you know what I mean? So it's like, if I don't answer your email or your message right away and somebody's going to get all burnt and twisted because I didn't, well, I guess that's just something that you can't blacklist me because I didn't answer your question right away. However, I do understand that if we're out there, why I didn't answer that person right away, why they might be upset about it or whatever. So I don't know. It's a tough thing. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Yeah, it's tricky because you don't owe anybody anything. Everything that you do in this world is because you want to. And at least for people like me, I interpret it as a gift. Your time is a gift, and it has given a lot. But it's like, you know, I am sure I don't get nearly as many messages and whatnot as you do, but if I try to like respond, like I can't respond right now, but I will later kind of thing. But you know, like that with too much volume, that gets a little crazy. So people just kind of have to recognize that, you know, you not responding right away is not because like you hate them or you reject them. It's like, you're a busy man living a life. Yeah.
Exactly. You gotta have a grain of understanding.
Right. For sure.
Of course. And yeah, I think we've all been there where we've like jumped the gun and be like, how could they? And then we find out like, oh, I was in the hospital, or I was at a family thing and I couldn't get back to you, or whatever it is, you know?
Yeah.
I just don't understand, like, if you like somebody, right? If you like, you know, whether you see them you hear them on a podcast, you see them on YouTube or whatever, but for whatever reason, you're like, oh, I like that person. They seem like a nice person or whatever. But yet immediately, if they sort of don't do something that falls in line, you don't know nothing about what's going on in their life, but immediately you don't give them the benefit of the doubt that there was a reason why they did what they did. I like to give people that benefit of the doubt, right? There's a reason why you didn't do what you did. If you said you were going to be here and, you know, yeah, okay. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't, you're getting, and to my point, right? We just talked about the whole thing with Owen and like, I'm not trying to, I only said that to try to give a perspective of why, you know, he may think the way he thinks. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
And then there it just got all twisted out, but whatever.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. And, you know, I really liked what you said about you're trying to at least take a moment to be level-headed, you know, in your own right, and, you know, put your feet in their shoes and try to understand why they are doing or saying what it is they're doing or saying that is making people mad. You know, it's like that perspective, that that level of awareness is so important. And you know, I always say, like, everything is worse through electronic communication, and that's kind of all we do for the most part in the reptile hobby, is text-based communication, where all the tone gets lost, all the intention can get lost, and you know, it just kind of becomes this whole never-ending cycle of FU, at least on Facebook. So
yeah, I think communication is a big thing, and I think that sometimes if you're not willing to talk to the person, like for instance, the thing we started talking about at the beginning, I really respect that guy, and I don't know his name, and I apologize again, but his channel is Reptiles and Research, right? Really respect the fact that he was able to conduct himself in a way as a professional. Nothing was screaming, I hate this guy, or he does this wrong, or whatever. He's just saying his point of view, and like maybe giving, Barczyk some perspective that he can take back and he can listen to, and he did it in a professional way, and he didn't say anything that really wasn't true. Now who knows, Barczyk might not react that way. I don't know. I don't know the guy, and a lot of times that's why I try to steer away from necessarily talking bad about somebody on a thing, because I don't know them personally. I didn't buy a snake from them personally. So how do I know if the deal was wrong? And it's always that whole thing is like, it's always, a friend of mine bought from this guy or this person, and it was a bad deal. Well, was it? Was your friend an idiot? Or, like
it's always
they
secondhand information.
Yeah, it's never like I bought a snake from X and they did me wrong, right? And if somebody asked me if I had an interaction with a certain person or whatever, I will tell them that this is what happened with me. If you choose to go and buy from that person, then so be it. Hopefully, maybe you'll have better situation. But I don't know. It's such a tough thing, man.
And like what Justin just said here, any sort of counter or pushback is so often automatically interpreted as an attack, and I think that that's so true. And it's in everything. It's like people don't know how to have a conversation or even a healthy argument. It's not always a bad thing. It's like,
well, again, that's probably perspective, right? And I think about that, and like somebody like me who grew up without text messages and internet and all this stuff, where like if you wanted to talk to somebody, you had to go and physically talk to them, right? And you had to tell them, like, hey, you're an asshole, and like if you go and say that, there may be consequences to you saying that you're an asshole, and you might not like those consequences. But so you're very careful in what you're saying and how you're saying it, right? As opposed to today, like there's no interaction with a person face to face. And like, if you're not immediately answering that person, or you don't answer them the way, like, I think sometimes they have this idea in their head, like they hear how you're talking. And like, to your point, Lucas, there's no nuance to that conversation.
Yeah.
You automatically think, that person is coming across as an asshole. Well, maybe
100%.
that's maybe you're looking in the mirror and how you would answer. You know what I mean? Like,
no, you're completely right. Like you can read the same text message in probably 50 different tones with 50 different intentions. It's like facial expression. It adds so much to words. Like, I don't know. Like, I probably sound stupid as like someone in my early 20s trying to be like, technology, talk face to face. But like, it's true, like I even see it with like my dad, right? Like he gets texts from his best friend and he gets all sad because he read it and he's just like, oh, he's being mean to me. And I look at it, he's like, he's literally not. You're reading it in a voice that is not intended, but it's so easy to do that.
Yeah.
It's
100%. I can't tell you how many times I've read a message and I've read it, and maybe this is just my stupid brain, but I've read it, and what I read was not what was written.
Oh yeah,
And
all the
then
time.
like I'm having a conversation with somebody, right? And I'm sitting there going, what is this person say? Wait, let me, and I scroll back up and I'm like, oh shit, I totally read that wrong, and I'm like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
now it makes sense. Like,
Right.
So I think that happens more often than not. I don't know, but
Yeah. Agreed. But, again, like all of that being said, and maybe I'm taking it too literally, but one literal list somewhere that's probably not helpful.
No,
is that a thing?
But
Is that
the reason why I was asking is because, like, I agree. I don't think like a master list somewhere will work, but I think the whole topic got people thinking about it, right?
Got it. Okay.
Like,
yeah.
that as we've talked about it, I'm starting to realize the whole thing was just getting people to think about like what it really means to vote with your dollar, and what that whole action of like who you choose to work with, associate with, allows them to perpetuate and continue into the reptile community. And so literally if you ignore them and act like they're not there, that's a form of blacklisting, essentially, without having to write something and send it everywhere. Which is what I do. I have 100%. If you screw me even once in the slightest way, I will never talk to you again. Period. The only time I've ever given an exception to that, I've given exception 3 times to one person who has squandered all 3 exceptions. And I only did it because of Forrest Fanning and his good nature, encouraging me to be the bigger person. And I did. Yeah. And I got bit in the ass 3 times because this piece of shit is a piece of shit. And I'm not going to name his name because I'm bigger than that. So just going to say, I personally blacklist anybody who does me wrong. Period.
I think the problem that I've had with that type of, like, I'm with you, Riley, and it's like, you get burnt by somebody, especially over and over again. I find that what I had to get over is that the next time that I'm interacting with somebody that's different, I'm immediately applying what happened with that last experience to this new experience. And sometimes it has snowballed in a way. It's sort of like this, right? I think of it like when I'm dating somebody and I'm dating this person and they really did me wrong. And then I go and I'm dating a new person, and all those insecurities and all those problems that I've had with that person, and I wasn't able to sort of, get them out, sort of start to bubble up in a way that is now affecting this new relationship with somebody. And it's not a healthy way to look at it, because it's not, number one, it's not fair to the person. And it's probably more with me than it is with the person, right? If somebody says, like, I don't know, say like, your girl goes out and she cheats on you or something, and then, next thing you know, you're now in a relationship with somebody else, and they're like, oh, I'm gonna go hang out with my friends at the bar, and immediately the defense goes up, like, oh, what are you doing? I gotta go out to the bar, like,
what?
And like that person is probably looking at you like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, I'm just going and hanging out with my friends. Like, what, and maybe that's not the way the world is anymore. And I'm kind of glad that I'm not in that world of like dating and all that kind of stuff, because I would not be able to. No, but
that's a Lucas young man game.
I was just gonna say, and you might get mono too.
Yeah, and oh man, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you're taking your past experience and you're applying it to this new thing, and it's an insecurity within yourself. And I try not to do that, but it's hard. It's hard.
Easier said than done.
Yes, man, you're carrying that. Somebody did you wrong, man, and it's not right. And it's like, you start to think like, well, at least for me, I think like, I try to be a good person, and this person did me wrong, man. That's bullshit. You know how much like I got not technically not screwed, but like, the situation I had where I got the freaking worms in the cup and the, all that shit. And it was like, how do I handle this? I struggled with this because I'm like, how do I handle this? Because there's going to be somebody else that goes and buys from this person, and they're going to get screwed. And if I don't say something, then I feel that I've like, somehow that I've allowed it to happen to that person. I feel some sense of responsibility that I have to say that this person is not wrong. But I don't know. I kind of like, I don't know. I kind of just, I didn't take that route that I wanted to, because I wanted to go on the platform and say that this person sucks. But like, everybody knows this person sucks. I don't have to say it.
Yeah.
I just won't,
Yeah.
I just won't buy from that person anymore. That's it.
Yeah.
You're done. You're cut off. I don't care what
It's
you
a
have.
slower process, but it's a more effective long-term one, because then as a whole collective starts to shun somebody without really speaking about it, not only are you staying positive-minded on stuff, but you're just not even giving them the time of day. And then you're using your energy to promote other people who are worth it.
Yeah, I would rather focus on promoting somebody that's doing good than somebody that's doing bad, because I think, unfortunately, in the world today, it's sort of like this. It's like watching the car accident, or our brains are just geared to look at that negative thing, and I think about, like, you talk about Brian's Venom thing that he did, right? And like, I don't know, I didn't want to talk about that on NPR or really focus on it at the time, because I felt like, well, if it's such a bad thing, and so why am I going to promote it? Because people, if I'm talking about it, I've watched it, and then I'm now sending other people to watch it.
Right.
And if I don't agree with it, why would I do that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I try to never mention those names or share that stuff for the same reason. 100%.
Yeah. So, like, if I'm going to promote somebody good, like, I would promote Justin in the herpetological magazine, you know what I mean? Or if I'm going to promote a YouTube channel, I want to promote somebody like Matt Somerville or Beach a Scaly Beast, you know what I mean? Like, I think sometimes in my head, like, I think like, oh, people already know this because I know this, right? And then I think it was you, Lucas, that was asking the other day and didn't know about his channel. Right. And it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Here's another way I can promote him. Like, I think that guy's just doing solid stuff, man, and I think he's no drama. It's all about his passion for the animals. And that's the people that I want to promote. That's why when he approached about doing a podcast, I was like, hell yeah, man.
Absolutely.
I don't care if we're at our limit. Add it on.
We'll make it work. Figure it out later.
Yeah, totally.
For sure.
I don't know.
Well, I got to get on out of here. It's getting close to the next thing on my to-do list today. Not to cut it short, but we have been going for 2 hours, and it turned into some pretty good discussion with the help of Scott Eiper, and then some renewed energy. And
yeah, I think
good.
I think so.
And it's progressively
100%.
gotten darker and darker in your room, Eric.
Yeah.
I know, right?
It's like it's nighttime over there.
It's much more ominous as it's gotten darker. The value and the depth of the conversation is just enriched.
And I'm approaching golden hour. It's so weird.
Yeah,
exactly. So
I'm in the future. I got to get some of those.
You are
like under the table so that
some LED
well, I mean, if we're
lights,
talking about the future, we were literally talking to Scott on Saturday.
Yeah, right.
Oh.
Doesn't that just kind of mess you up?
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So,
well,
good
always a great time, guys, and
as always, good chit chat.
Some big topics this time, but
that's right.
And thank you to everyone for joining us today. Sorry about that one individual who needed to be booted from the chat. I apologize, Lance, for having to field that. Everybody who messaged me about that, you guys were correct. That was weird. So handled that, and we will catch you all next week for a little less weirdness, hopefully. And if you want to find anything for us, MPR Network, all the shows, go to MoreliaPythonRadio.com and
MoreliaPythonRadio.com, and basically anything you want to know about us, just go to the website. If you got a question or whatever, send an email to info@MoreliaPythonRadio.com. So that's all everything you need to know. It's just wrapped up in one little package,
like a burrito.
I'm hungry.
Subscribe.
Yes. We need more subscriptions to the YouTube channel. A lot more, like 600 more. Please.
So if you want to support, there you go. You don't have to do anything. Just hit that button. Subscribe.
It takes a click, and then guess what? The more clicks, the more people click, the more times we can look towards going to Australia and bringing more content.
Yeah, man.
100%.
I got some dreams.
We're doing it.
Yeah.
Well, everybody have a wonderful weekend.
Yes. Until next time.
See you next week.
Yeah.
All right.
See ya.
Later.